So I'm trying to get this done in about 20 to 30 minutes. Just show a little bit of differences that y'all might have known about. Some you might not have known about. But if somebody knew about all of these, that's pretty good. That's good for you. So we're gonna look at Genesis, maybe around 4 or 5, and going up to like Genesis 14. We're gonna look at those parts. But let me get the screen share and everything finished, getting it set up. That's what I was doing. So, and we're gonna look at the Septuagint and the Masoretic text. We're gonna just mainly look at it in English though. I'm not gonna go too deep right now. I had to look at my eyebrows for a minute. I'm like, wait, is something wrong with my eyebrow? My phone notifications may be going off. I started to mute it, but I just left it as it was. Okay, now let's put. So this on the left we have the Septuagint or LXX, and on the right we have the Masoretic text, short for MT. Do you know what I mean? So let me it's pretty good. I'm looking at orders for work anyway. So we're in Genesis 4. Something I left out yesterday, I'm gonna try to throw in today if I can remember. So it was I was listening to this again before I went live and everything. And let me see if I can even remember it. Because I probably can't. I'm gonna put the chat up here too. I don't think anybody's gonna comment, but just in case. So this is something that I thought about a while back. Like we have a thing called superheroes, but there really isn't any. Like, of course they made up all those powers and stuff, but maybe I shouldn't say there really isn't any. But there is rarely any. And the only or the main superhero that they don't speak about is God. God is the real superhero. And the reason I say that there wasn't really any is because, a lot of them are made up that they created, like Superman. A lot of that's made up stuff. But in reality, God is the only one. Well, maybe I shouldn't say it like that. But God is the main one. So when I'm reading or I'm listening to the Bible and you hear from like Genesis 1 all the way to 4, and then you get to 14, and just in the midst of all that, you hear about how He creates the earth, the heavens, the angels, and the luminaries. He even plants the Garden of Eden. He grows the trees. He set all these things up, and then he creates humans and animals and all that. And then, I'm not saying it's in order. And then he puts Adam into the garden to keep it and all that. And then he allows Adam to name all the creatures and everything. And then he creates a woman for Adam. They get married. And then bad things start happening. So they get kicked out of the garden due to sinning. The main adversary entered into a serpent, and the serpent deceived Eve. Eve ate from the tree, gave to Adam. Adam ate, and they all was punished for it. The serpent, Adam and Eve, it was two curses laid out. And not only was those things laid out, they was also kicked out of the garden. Then it was a cherubim in front of the garden so nobody can get back in. Sounds like God didn't trust them to not just stay out of the garden. Like he had to make sure they didn't go back in, which is interesting. I don't think that's talked about a lot, but it's interesting that was done. And it was something about not letting them in to get that tree of life at that point yet. Because later on, of course, those who deserve it can get the tree of life. They can eat from it. But those two weren't allowed at that time. Then we kind of pick back up where I'm at tonight. So I was listening to this book, and it talks about Cain getting the mark, but I don't think it words it in the Septuagint the same way it words it in the Masoretic text, at least in English. I think it says, okay, look, this is what it says in 15. The Lord said to him, "It will not be like that. Anyone who kills Cain will release 7 reprisals." And I was like, reprisals? Never heard of that. But anyway, the, the Lord God has placed a sign for Cain so that none who find him will kill him. That's the way this one works. It doesn't sound exactly the same as the Masoretic text, but I'm not here to get too deep into that. And and then we go on, and some of this is basic stuff. Cain marries somebody, I know who, and they build a city and all that, his offspring and all that. Well, nothing. I don't think I need to talk about anything else in this chapter. 5 is where the differences come in. So I already knew about 1, but not as many. So it gets into the bloodline and the years they lived and had kids and died, and this is where a lot of the differences come in. So it talks about in verse 4, or is it 3? 3. Adam lived 230 years. So that's one of the first differences right there. Adam lives 130 years in the Masoretic text, but Septuagint, it said at 230 is when he begat Seth. So it's a 100-year difference for a lot of these people. I was noticing that. So maybe I should just highlight. I think that's a good idea. If I can find my mouse. There it is. 230 years. Make that whatever that color is. And everything else is the same though. He still dies at 930, but it's just that 100-year difference. And then I think in verse 6, Seth lives 205 years instead of 105, like the Masoretic text would say. In the Masoretic text, it says he lived 105 years, and then he begat, his all that, right? But here it says 205 years. He still dies, I think, the same. Let's verify. Oh, crap. Hit the wrong thing. So it says Seth lived 205 years, and he fathered Enosh. And after he fathered Enosh, Seth lived 707 years, and he fathered sons and daughters, and all the days of Seth were 912 years, and he died. Now, I think that's the same. I think, let's verify. Seth lived after the birth of Enosh 807 years. Let me scroll down in the Masoretic text a little bit. 8 says all the days of Seth were 912 years. So it's the same with that. Then for verse 9, it says, and Enosh lived 112 and 90 years. So that's 190. Let me see. 190 years. Okay, so he lived 190 years, and then he fathered Canaan. In the Masoretic text, it says, when Enosh had lived 90 years, he became the father of Canaan. So it's still the 100-year difference. And I think it was like that with a lot of people. But I never noticed that it was like that for more than one person. I just thought the first time I ever caught a difference, well, maybe I shouldn't say first time, but one of my earliest times catching a difference between the Masoretic text and the Septuagint was in Genesis 5. It was for, who was it for? It was for Methuselah. Methuselah, maybe that was Jasher. Yeah, I think I'm thinking about Jasher. But just in case I am right, I think he was saying that Methuselah's age was when he died was different. Nah, that's got to be Jasher. I think. Oh no, I read a lot, but I think it was that. So let me go down to the next one. We got all in 11, all the years on the left side, all the days, and all the days of Enos were 905 years, and he died. And 11 on the right, Masoretic text. Thus, all the days of Enos were 905 or 5 years, and he died. So it's the same. Then Kenan, 12, lived 170 years. On the right, it says when Kenan had lived 70 years, so still the 100-year difference. Gonna highlight 170 years, and he probably dies the same amount of time. Verse 14 says, and all the days of Kenan were 910 years, and he died. On the right, 14. Thus, all the days of Kenan were 910 years, and he died. 910, yep, they both the same. Mahalalel, 15, lived 165 years. On the right, it says he lived 65 years, so it's still the 100-year difference. And I think after this, it might change, but I'm not sure. I think it changes when Enoch comes in. So he dies in 17. It says, and all the days of Mahalalel were 895 years, and he died. On the right, all the days of Mahalalel were 895 years. 895 years the same. Now 18, and Jared lived 162 years. I think that's right on both sides. Jared lived 162 years. Yep. So it fixes right here. Well, it's congruent. If I'm right, they agree. I'll say it like that. They're the same. I don't know if congruent was the proper word, but yeah, yeah, you know what I mean. So wait, they both the same time? No, they're not, which is weird. I'm looking at these orders anyway. So Jared lived 800 years and fathered sons and daughters. It looks the same. He dies in maybe 20 yet. All the days of Jared were 962 years. On the left, 962 years. That's the same. So they line up for that. Enoch, I think, is the same as well. 21, Enoch on the left lived 165 years. On the right, he lived 65 years. So it goes back to the 100-year difference again. Whoa, wait a minute. Oh, okay. Never mind. I was looking at something else. All right. So, 100-year difference 22 says Enoch was very pleasing to God for 200 years. Interesting. That's a difference too that I didn't catch. Because on the other side, it's going to say 300 years he walked with God. But that one says 2, which makes sense according to the extra 100 years above. So now it's coming down to the 23rd verse, and it says, Enoch walked with God. Let's see. I was looking on the right side. Let me read the left. And all the days of Enoch were 365 years. On the right, it says Enoch walked with God after the birth of Methuselah 300 years and had other sons and daughters. Sounds a little different. One says 365. I think that's verse 22 I was reading. 23, 365 years. Yeah, so they agree on that. And I was looking at that final verse to see what it was talking about. Oh, that's all they did. Oh, for real. Okay. Methuselah lived 187 years. On the right, 187 years. So that's the same. And I suppose the rest of it is the same too. After Father Lamech lived 782 years. On the right, he lived 782 years, same. And 27 is when he dies. Thus all the days of Methuselah were 969 years on the right, and he dies. On the left, all the days of Methuselah which he lived were 969 years, same, and he dies. So there's no difference there. But it's either in Jasher or Jubilees, those numbers are different. It's like 960 years and he died in Jasher or Jubilees, but this is the same. Noah, I think it's the same too. Noah comes in 30, and after him, blah, 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 500 years. And see, let me read that. And after he had fathered Noah, Lamech lived 565 years. Okay, that was verse 30. 595 years. So it's a little difference in verse 30 with Lamech. So on the right side, it says Lamech lived after the birth of Noah 595 years. On the other side, on the left, it says 565 years. It's a 35-year difference. I meant 30-year difference, I think. Which I didn't catch until now. But I'll read it one more time. On the left, 565 years. On the right, 595 years. So yeah, 30-year difference there. Most of the time it's a 100-year difference. But right there is the 5-year, I said 30-year difference. We'll probably have to go soon. But let's see if it's a difference in 31. And all the days of Lamech were 753 years. So 753 years on the left. On the right, it says all the days of Lamech were 777 years, and he died. That does not agree. Okay, so that's interesting. So let me highlight 700. I didn't know this. So this is a flat out difference right here. 777 years and 753 years. That's first time I've caught that, so gotta get ready to go to work now. But it may be a little bit more differences. Let's see if Noah's different. I see the verses are different. It ends in Genesis 5 at verse 31 on the left in the Septuagint. On the right, it ends when Noah's 500 years old. But for the Septuagint, it begins with that verse. But I'm going to read the Masoretic text first. The Masoretic text says, and it says, after Noah was 500 years old, Noah became the father of Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And then on the left, it says that Noah lived 500 years. And, so that lines up. I don't think I caught many differences in this particular part, but I did notice when, it was in Genesis 6, 1 through 4, it flat out said that there was angels of God instead of sons of God, like certain translations, but I think the NRSV says the same there. No, it says sons of God in that one. What does it say for the Nephilim? It says giants. Okay. One thing I did catch, instead of it saying that God repented or regretted that he made humans on the earth, it says in verse 5, I think this is the one, it says he was angry for that he had made them. I think it's verse 6, actually. But let's see. 5 says, now on the left, Septuagint, now the Lord God saw that the wicked actions of humans were multiplied on the earth, and everyone was focused in his heart on evil things all their days. 6. And God reflected that he made humankind on the earth and considered, and God said, I will discard humanity, whom I made from the face of the earth, from human to animal, and from creeping things to winged birds of the heavens, because I am angry that I made them. Like, that was different. I'm familiar with the Masoretic text and the way it translates that Hebrew word. They would say he regretted, or it would use a word like that. Like if I look on the right on the Masoretic text for verse 8, it's actually different. No, I'm sorry, verse 7. I thought it was verse 8, but verse 7 says, so the Lord said in the Masoretic text, I will blot out from the earth human beings. I have created people together with animals. Lost my spot. Together with animals and creeping things and birds of the air. And it says, for I am sorry that I made them. I was trying to move it up a little bit so my camera wouldn't be in the way. But on the it says, for I am sorry that I made them. That's what it says with that. So it's a little different. It's a little different, but I'm gonna have to go though. I'm gonna have to come back to that. Like that's more differences than I've caught, in the Septuagint. I never finished the Septuagint all the way. So yeah, I'm gonna get ready to go to work. I'll be back, but I thought I would be able to get a little bit further in. But this is as far as I got. Wait, actually, I think I can get almost all the differences. Hold on, wait, because it was one more. I do remember when the flood was coming. It said it was after actually, which is like Genesis 9, I think. I do remember it says flat out, and it might do this with other translations too, but it flat out said that there will be, when God made the covenant with them, it said that he was going to, and I'm used to the word boat instead of rainbow, but it flat out said rainbow. I think I passed it, yeah. So I think it's in 8. Built an altar. Noah built an altar to God and he took from the livestock. I wonder, was that after? Yeah, I remember that. Here we go. Yeah, it is in chapter 9. Okay, so he flat out, well, in this translation, it says rainbow. In verse 13, I am placing on the left, I am placing my rainbow in the cloud. That was different because I'm used to bow. But we all probably knew it was rainbow anyway. I know I did, but I'm just not used to seeing rainbow flat out there. So that was a difference for me. But not a major difference. It's probably like that in modern translations now, but that's different. All right, I'm out of here though. Peace be to the saints. I don't think I caught much that was different in between from this to Genesis 14, but there may have been something around the Tower of Babel. I think it was one more. It was like when it was talking about the bloodline of not Shem, Ham. It was talking about Ham's bloodline. One of his sons was called like Nephilim. It wasn't like Nephilim, but it was close to it. I'm like, wait a minute, is that the same as Nephilim? But it was a little different in spelling. I'm like, could have been. I didn't get to look at it because I was doing something, but and if it was something else that was different, look. This is it. It says in Egypt, father the Lydians and the Nephthalim. That I was like, is that Nephilim? But it doesn't spell it the same, and I didn't get to look behind the word to see. So this is the first time I'm actually looking behind it. It says Hebrew equivalent for LXX is Nephal, or Nephalt Chim, or Nephalt Chim. And it says for information about the use as a person name or entity, see Neph to him. So it sounds really, really close, but not the same. But I was just curious if it was Nephilim, but it doesn't seem to be. So it's real close though. But I was just curious about that. Let me go to work. I'm out of here. Peace be to the saints. Those were just some of my thoughts and opinions on what I was reading and differences I was catching in a Septuagint, LXX versus the Masoretic text, short for MT. I'm out of here. Man, gotta